Good morning. Today we are going to solve exercise 3.24 from the book Fundamentals of Sadiku Electric Circuit. This exercise allows me to solve the exercise found in the figure using new analysis in MATLAB. First of all, I always advise marking the direction of the currents where it supposedly goes according to the direction of the sources. Let's notice that here they ask me to find voltage of 0, that is, the voltage drops in the 8 ohm resistance. Therefore, if I look at this resistance is polarized more or less. This gives me a clue where the current is coming from. The current of 4 amperes, reaching this point, has to take its way to one side. One of those paths, I suppose, is close down, taking all this as a land reference, and the other direction is the one that comes from here. The current that comes from up here is what polarizes the resistance plus minus Z. That same current comes here and enters up to this point. When this current enters this point, it encounters this current N2 of 2 amperes. Here comes the adding 2. Now, let's notice that I'm missing these resistors. However, the currents we have here go sideways. Well, we have to try to guess where the comments of these three resistances are going. I can say A without fear of making a mistake. By this resistance, see the sense because here is the ground reference and here there is a voltage. What makes another current go there? And here it also comes here for the reference. Now, regarding this resistance we observe that a current of 2 amperes comes out here, but here a current of 44 amperes comes out of this point, so I suppose that the other door goes this way. Whatever, when we do the analysis, the polarity will tell me if the current was on that side or on that opposite side. I'm going to call this the current I1. I'm going to call this current I2, which is the same one that comes over here. I'm going to call this 143. I'm going to call this 144. I'm going to call this one the current N5. This one I'm going to call the current N6. Well, then, observing the direction of the currents, I am going to apply the analysis of it. Note 1. Well, we have to name the nodes. Well, I'm going to call it B1, I'm going to call it B2, B3, and here B4. In node B1 in WAC we observe that the current 4 amperes enters there. 4 amperes enters and 2 currents leave, which is I1 plus I2. But the I1, what is the I1 is B1 about the resistance of a UFO. C1 about the resistance of a UFO. The current I1, and the current I2, which is here, because it would be B1 minus B4, all over the 8 shoulders. Well, current 1 and current N4 that's going to be equal to 2 4 amperes. So, if I apply to the book, I'm going to have to B1 over 1. Well, B1 plus B1 over 8 minus. It's the same here, B4 over 8 equals 4 ohms. So whatever B1 has, I add it, and this gives me 9/8 of B1 minus B4. Over 8 equals 4. I'm going to multiply this by 8 to remove the denominator and the first thing is going to look like B1, 9B1, 9, B1 minus B4. Equals 8 times 430. That's my first equation. Let's do the second, the equation. Okay, now let's work on node B2. At node 2 we observe that the currents leaving that point would be 4 amperes plus the current I3, and that will be equal to the currents entering. The currents that enter are current I4. Okay, now, this would be 4 plus the 43, but the 43rd of the one that comes down here would be B2 over 2 ohms. That's going to be equal to the current I4. The current I4, which is what comes from here, would be V3 minus B 2 over 4 ohms. So here I would have 4 plus B2 over 2 equal to B3 over 4 minus B2 over 4. So, I leave the variables on one side and the constant on the other side, to obtain that B3 over 4 minus B2 over 4 minus B2 over 2 equals 4. Goes. Maybe that 4 is coming. This is how it will look for me. So, if I operate what B has 2, I will have minus 3 4 3/4. B2 plus P3 over 4 is going to be equal. If I multiply by 4, I will have minus 3B 2 3B2 plus B3 is equal to 4. This is my equation number 2. Pray here. And now we're going to work on node 3. Well, I was wrong about something here. I don't know. 4 times 4 is 16. Here it is not 4, 12 8 4 60 days 16. I wish I saw it before I moved on to the next step. 16. Good. Now, let's bring in node 3. Node 3 is the one here. The currents that come out, we observe that they are all, well, it would be I4 plus I5 plus the 2 amps, then it will be equal to 0. The I4, which is what comes here, no, law 4 is what comes here. What a shame. It would be B 3 minus B2 over 4 plus B 3 over 2, okay? This is the current I4, B3 minus B2 over 4. B3 over 2 is the current I5, plus the 2 amperes, which is going to be equal to 0. B3 over 4 minus B2 over 4 plus B3 over 2 is going to equal -2. Okay, here I have as minus B2 over 4 and add the B3 is going to be equal to 3/4 of B3 equal to -2. If I multiply by 4, by eliminating the denominators, I will be left with minus B2 plus 3. B3 equals -8. And that's going to be my equation number 3. I'm going to delete this. And we are going to enter with the node. It would be 3. We are going to go to node 4. In node 4, which is this point, the currents that enter here, which are the current source, this one is 2 amperes plus the current I2, and the one that comes out would be this one that is here, which I did not name, I finished of. 4 and 5. This would be the I6, and the I6 comes out. Now, the I2, well, that would be 2 plus the I2, plus the I2 is B1 minus B. 4 over 8. B1 minus B4 over 8 equal to I6, which would be P4 over 1. So, if we arrange it, it would be B1 over 8 minus B 4 over 8 2. Well, I'm going to solve it once and for all. I'm going to put here minus B 4 over 1. This is it. That is, B1 over 8 minus B4 over 8, and this goes to the other side equals minus B4, and I'm going to pass this to the other side equals minus 2. I'm going to wait for the ones that have B4. Then I'm going to have B1 over 8 minus 9/8 of P4 equal to, that's why we're multiplying by 8. It would be minus 16. Oh, no, I haven't multiplied by 8 yet. What a shame. Now yes, here it would be the minus 2. Here where I am going to multiply by 8. And it would be like B1 minus 9B4 equals 8 times 2 16, minus 16. That would be my equation number 4. Let's observe that in this equation there are 4 variables, B1, B2, B3 and B. We are going to arrange them all in plus la, but first, if you want, we can arrange it on this side. How? Well, I have the first position. It would be 9, B1. It would be 0 in the case of B2, 0 in the case of B3 and minus B4, and that will be equal to 30, and the next one would be 0 in the case of B1. Minus 3B2 in the case of B2 plus B3. I'm going to put it here, B3, and in the case of 4 there is a 0, equal to 16. The next one also in B1 there is nothing. It would be 0. The other one would be minus B2. The other one would be 3B3, and the last one would be 0 2. So, it's equal to negative 8. Lastly, it would be B1 0 for B2, 0 for B3, minus 9 for B4. Walla minor 16. I have an equation. 4 equations with 4 unknowns, already previously marked. Later, I am going to put it in MATLAB. For the first one it would be 900 and minus 1. 9, 0 space, 0 space, space minus semicolon to move to the next 0 minus 3, 1 and 0. 0. 3, 1 and 0. 0 minus 3, 1 and the next one is 0 minus 1, 3 and 0. 1 and 0. The next one it would be 100 and negative 9. 10 ends 100 and less. The side of matrix B, which still has the results, would be 3216. It would be 3216. I'm going to put here 32 semicolon 6 minus 8 and minus 16. Minus 8 and minus 16. Okay, let's save, and here we have the. Let's check the matrix 900 minus 1. 900 minus 1. The next one, 0 minus 3, 1 and 0. 0 minus 3, 1 and 0. The next one, 0 minus 1, 3 0. 0 minus 1. Here it's 3, 3 and 0. 0 minus 1, 3 and 0. And the last one is 100 minus 9. 100 minus 9. And on the equal side it would be 3216 minus 8 and minus 16. 30 dice. Better check and minus 16. There is a small error that was here. I will correct it again. And I notice that for the voltage V1 it is 3.8. For the voltage V2 minus 7. For the voltage V3 minus 5 and parvolta R4 2.2. I'm going to put it here. B1 equals 3.8. B2 equals negative 7 volts. V3 equals negative 5 and V4 equals 2.28. They are the voltages at the different points, and Jesus asks me to determine the voltage versus sub-0. The voltone V sub-0 that you see here, since the current goes in this direction, versus sub-0, it is equal to B1 minus B4, yes? Because if I say that B1 minus B4 over 8, I'm going to get it. About 8 gives me the current, but if I multiply them by 8, it will give me the voltage, so 8 and 8 cancel, and this will be the voltage. It is a 0. Let's put the result. B1 minus B4. I'm going to put here. I'm going to put that the variable is a solution. The position 1 minus I only use in the wind position 4. It tells me that it is 1.6 volt. 12 weight is equal to 1.6 volts. 3.8. 12.2, 1.6 cut. See you in the next session.